Hello everyone. The pattern I'm tying for you today is called the Audible Chironomid. This pattern I designed for our Masterclass novice fly tying course, and the reason I designed this was to overcome right from the start the issues of thread control. What does thread do when you give it a turn or a twist? What does it do? How does it behave when you lay it flat or throw a half hitch in it or twist it into a rope? These are all critical points in fly tying. You will notice with all the great fly tyers, they have absolute master control of their thread and the placement of their thread, whether it's laying flat or whether it's twisted. And this is something that we really need to pay attention to. The second thing I've done, I've mounted this hook, this Hen's BL 200, which is a 2x strong round bend. I know a lot of people prefer their caddisses tied on a bent hook, a pupa fashion, and you certainly can do that. It doesn't change anything on your thread control whether you run that or run a straight shanked hook or run a pupa shaped hook. What I like to play with chironomids is to fish them very, very slowly. The descent rate on them into a fishable position should be quite slow. That's one of the reasons I run a 2x strong wire. The other reason I run a 2x strong wire in competition, I prefer to be able to have a heavier gauge hook to land fish quicker. And that includes larger fish and definitely smaller fish. So paying attention to thread control, I just want to show you how to tie this Audible Chironomid. Everything is counted out, and you can build a small legend if you choose based on hook size and hook style. So what I've done on this size 10, I'm going to run what's called, made by Zemperfly, it's their floss, which is traditionally used for salmon, Atlantic salmon, and steelhead patterns, and Pacific salmon patterns as a body material. It's a 400 denier, so it is quite heavy, and normally we would only run about a 70 denier on smaller hooks. I found this works from size 10 down to size 14 by increasing or decreasing the count or the turns in the cadence for each body section. The only thing that seems to stay the same is the rib count, which is anywhere from 7 to 9, depending on my placement and spacing of my rib into behind the thorax section. So generally with smaller hooks, still using the cadence, so I'm talking about size 16s, 18s, and 20s, I'll move down to a 70 denier thread and still run and control the thread in the same fashion on the Audible Chironomid. So I'll start off here, I'll show you how this is done. Our thread to begin with is flat at this point, and I'll just start it behind the hook with a single catch, and we'll take 2 turns. We'll do 10 turns for the thorax section. It's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then I'll cut off the tag, and I will lay a hand hitch. Now you can either run a tool or you can just do it by hand, whichever is more comfortable for you and whichever you feel better at running. I would suggest you learn how to do a half hitch by hand because you can lay them anywhere on the hook. So as you notice, by doing those 10 turns, my thread has built up some twist in it. So every time I take a wrap, I create a turn in the thread, or a twist or rope in the thread. So we're going to remove that by either allowing the bobbin to freely untwist itself or help it along until we find that flat spot. And we're almost there, so that's about the flat spot there. So now with the body section, I'll run about 14 turns with my thread staying flat. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And now I'll lay a half hitch again right at the very back by the bend. Now my body itself is actually finished and completed on this fly pattern. And as we had mentioned, the thread has, for every turn I've taken, it's put a twist into the thread. But I want to twist it up even more to create a rib. So I'll just spin my bobbin in a clockwise fashion. So I twist or turn my thread into a rope. So once it's fairly tight, I'll take a full turn at the back, and then progressing open turns, moving towards the thorax. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 brings us right to that knot at the thorax. And again, I'll lay a half hitch at this point here. You have to be careful with that one because the thread is so roped and twisted up that it can create yourself a problem. But you can also run a half hitch tool, which will help as well in that, at that position. So now I'll let my thread untwist, and I'll help it along. We'll see where we're at. We're slightly over. We'll see where we're at, and we're about there. So now my thread is virtually flat again. Almost. Still spinning in a clockwise fashion. You just check it every now and then just by stopping it. So now my thread is flat. So now I'm going to run touching turns from back of the thorax towards the eye of the hook. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Take a couple of spins out. 8, 9, 10, 11. Take a few spins out. Now we'll go back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Take a few spins out. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Take some turns out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can see my thread's fairly flat. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, now I'm going to do a 3-knot whip finish. I'll just do 1, 2, 3 right behind the eye of the hook. And again, my pattern is complete. The proportions are correct for chironomids. They're very, very slim. We don't need to build them stout. I have extra weight to sink my pattern slowly in a controlled sink by running a 2x hook. I can also do it with a standard wire hook, but I often run 2x because I catch a lot of very large trout in ponds and in lakes with this pattern. Therefore, I like the 2x strong. So once we do a quick coat of head cement, which I've cut with, it's just a spar varnish that's been cut 20% with acetone. Just make sure it's on all the way around, nice and even. You can use the UV cures if you like. I prefer just to run the head cements. Leaves my coating very, very thin. And once this begins to dry, you'll see that the body really doesn't require. I'll set it up at a bit of an angle here as well. So once it begins to dry, the head cement, because it's so thin, it starts to run towards the head of the hook into the thorax section. But I'll build 2 or 3 coats on the thorax with the head cement. And that's pretty much a finished pattern. Away a little bit of the excess. And that's a very simple, easy, effective chironomid pattern to tie. But more critically, it gets you into the habit of maintaining thread control through the entirety of the fly as you tie it. Where to lay flat, where to spin, how to build a rib, how to build thin layers, and the fly is to proportion of the chironomid, and that's critical. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this, and have a wonderful day.